Okay, so I am going to show you how to make a real basic bird pattern. And this one, if you do an all white, you can, I went in with a paint pen and did that kind of thing. But you can change it up and that kind of thing. So it's a real basic pattern. You can interchange the colors and do that kind of thing. And so that's what I'm going to show you how to do, is how to make a blue bird and where the color changes are, or you can make a solid color. This isn't going to really go over things like if you wanted to make a blue jay or a cardinal or anything like that. Those birds are shaped a little differently, so I'll try to work up a pattern for those particular kinds of birds, but this one is for the fatter body ones. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to move these colors. I'm using a light orange, blue, and a white. So we're going to move these out of the way. I'm going to start with our blue. Okay. Yarn barf. Obviously, I haven't used this color. Gosh, you see that? Two ends. Okay, so we're going to be starting off with our tail. And that is where it's going to feel a little weird. Okay. Just start off with the tail, but that's what we're going to do. Let's get this. Alright. Now, know when you want to change up your tail, if you want to make it more narrow, if you want to make it wider, you need to center it on those 12 pegs on this half of your starting point. See? So there's your starting point and there's your ending point. And you need to divide that in half. And you need to do it evenly. So for instance, I want to do a little bit wider of a tail than this. Okay. And in my notes, I skipped 3 pegs. This time I'm only going to skip 2 and make it a little wider. So I'm going to skip 1, 2, and start. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more, 8. If you want to do 9 just to make your ribbing easier, you can. Just know that you're going to be knitting the last stitch, slipping the first stitch. I can't talk this morning. Okay, so what you're going to do is you'll slip that first one and you're just going to knit your first row just to kind of get you started. Okay, and then we're going to do a rib stitch. And that's going to give the texturing of more of a straight line to the tail. This pattern isn't so bad, but there is some short rowing to it. And if there's ways that you prefer, whether it's a German short row or simple wrap and turn, it's entirely up to you on what you do when you get to those sections. Okay, so here's what we want to do. So we're going to slip that first stitch and we're going to purl 1, knit 1, purl, knit, purl, knit. But this is where you can make your tail wider or narrower, longer. So this is more like a guideline. Purl and then that last stitch. Okay, and then slip the first stitch and purl. Now, if you want, you can do a half and half where you do the fold back like I've done 4 on things, but so that you have the bottom half of the tail in white and the top half in a different color. There is a way of going about and doing that where you do however many rows you're wanting to do or however long you're going to want the tail, and then you just start adding the chains back. If you've done any of my patterns for legs, you do the same kind of thing with that, so that's another option there. And if you want a longer tail, I think I'll probably do about 15 rows here total. So that'll be we'll do 16 rows. Okay, so you're doing a rib stitch, all right, and I'm working over 9 pegs. Try to get it as center as possible. So I think I did 12 here. I want the tail a little wider, probably be about that much wider, and a little longer. So I'm going to do 16 rows of the rib stitch. So you're going to pause the video, complete your 16 rows, and then you're going to cut the yarn to enough where you can kind of knot it off when you go and start the next section. So after that, you'll want the white ready. Okay, but you're not going to remove the tail, you're just going to do the tail and you're going to let it sit. So if you've watched my recent video of the flower pot doll, this pattern here, you'll know that we're basically going to be doing the same concept as we did with the lace. You're putting it on the loom and you're letting it sit there and wait on you until you get to that section and then you move it over. Alright? So, pause the video, get however many rows you want done. You can do 20 rows if you want a really long tail. Just kind of gauge it for how long of a tail you want. If you want a little shorter tail, you can go and do the 10 to 12 rows. If you want a longer tail, you can go 20 to 25. So it's entirely up to you. Just get you a tail as long as you want, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So I ended up doing 14 rows. That's what looked more about right to me, because you got to include that that's going to relax. So what we've just done is this section here. What we need to do is this section here. Okay, so we need to switch up to white. So I can find my bottom. Okay. So I've snipped my end and it's enough to where I can knot it to really solidify it. But I'll tell you when to knot it. You're not going to knot it right now. Okay. So you cut that and you're going to draw string, cast on. Okay. At this point, you're going to ignore those stitches like they're not there. And you don't want to add them until I tell you to. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. If you follow my patterns, you know I tend to do this a lot where I work a section and then I kind of leave it and then work around it. It's the reason why when Cindy Wood was designing the new pegs, I requested that they be taller so that you have room to stack the stitches like this where you still have some room to work. And it doesn't tend to give you problems. So our way around. Now this section's pretty easy. After you do your drawstring cast on, you're going to knit for 6 rows if you want this to be a wider area. If you don't want it to be so wide, you can do 5 rows. I may do 5 rows, but if you don't want this bottom area to be that wide, just adjust. So if you want it smaller, adjust. I may do only 5 rows, but if you want it a little wider, do 6. So it's entirely up to you how many rows you do. So I think I'm going to do 5 rows for the bluebird, but I did 6 for the dove. So it's entirely up to you. But this section is where you would likely add feet if you wanted to. But right now what we're doing is this section here, which is in a circle. Once we get past that, then it's where you're going to learn doing half and half on colors if you're interested in that. And the reason why I'm choosing to do a colored bird rather than a solid is so that you know where you can add color, how you can adjust it, even though it makes it more complicated for me to film it. It also makes you and allows you to understand what you can do with the design and how you can adjust it as you need in order to create the breed of bird you might be after. I will try to create a pattern for a more slender breed and for like a cardinal and a blue jay and that kind of thing. So bear with me, but this is the start. Okay, so keep going round and round for 5 or 6 rows depending on how wide of that area you want. So pause the video and get that much done. Okay, so we're going to go, and this is where we're going to start doing a half and half. If you wanted a little more than half and half, you can do that. I'm going to add my blue here at my starting point. You can also adjust it to be more than half and half as you go along. So if you don't want any white to show over here, do a single row of the half and half first, and that way no white will show. Okay, so what we're going to do, if I can get myself situated here. Alright, here we go. So if you don't want any white to show, what you can do is you can go ahead and get a row done of the half and half. Okay. So you can just go ahead and knit the row and not toss those over yet. So I'll show you how that's done. If you don't want any white showing. Okay, and this might be just the nicer. But if you're doing a solid color, then you can just knit both those loops over at the same time. Make sure I have 12. Yep, there's my 12. Okay. Alright, now, then you're going to work your way around. Go ahead and pick up your white and knit your way around. This is where when you are doing half and half like this, you get in that habit of knowing that you're knitting flat. But if you're doing a solid color, you can just keep knitting round and round. If you're wanting to add feet, and I know typically their feet are black, but I'll do orange. This is what I have on hand. Typically it's black. So if you want to add feet so that if you want to kind of be able to hold it on your finger, you can. I've done this kind of feet thing for I believe the owl and the penguin. Okay, so I'm going to tie on a color, but I'm not going to cut the white because what I'm going to do is end up bringing it back. So if you want to do feet, this is how you do it. If you don't worry about it. We're going to work over a total of 4 pegs for one foot and 4 pegs are for another, but it's the same process, okay? You may want to put stitch markers on these stitches, okay? I don't usually, but you want to put a stitch marker on the next 4 stitches right here, and because you're going to bring them back up, and it just makes it easier, okay? So you're going to knit 4 rows. There's 2. Here's 3. And then 4. This is where I do my little pyramid thing. So then you're going to knit 3. Then 2. Then 3. Then 4 for 4 rows. So here's the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this is where you're going to bring your original loops back up. This is where the stitch markers are help, and you're going to bring them back on the corresponding stitches. So you're going to bring up these. It's not right. Again, if you use stitch markers, you can really easily see this. Pull them back up. And you'll do the same thing over here on the next 4 for another foot. Again, I've black. Try to get me a black with the beak. You can do a crochet thing with like. Okay, here's your slot for the next 4. Okay. Right, so you know that's your next 4. You're going to repeat the same thing that you did here, here, but then what you'll do is you'll go and you'll pick up your white and you will knit the 2 together. So there's knitting the 2 together. I have to knit both stitches over at once. If you don't feel comfortable, you can do one at a time. Okay, now you should have a little foot. See? It's a little triangle. In fact, your beak will work exactly the same way. So that is what I've done to create the beak. So if you remember that, that's what I've done to create a beak, right? If you're wanting a beak that sits down more, then you simply, when making it, when you go to finish it, do less rows, and I'll explain that when we get closer to that. But you do the same thing here. I'm going to tell you to pause the video, complete your other foot, and then we'll come back and show you how to attach the tail. So pause the video, complete your other foot, and we'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, I finished the other foot, and I am going to tie that off, and then I'm going to finish the row, which is 2. Okay. Now, what you will do at this point is you will take the blue up under the white and then over. Okay. And this is where, if you are not doing a solid color, you will go in and this is where you add your tail in. Okay. So you'll knit 2 together over those 9. Now, if you're doing a solid color, then just keep in mind that when you go to the other 12, you're going to knit 2 and then start your feet. If you're working this way after you've done your 12, knit 2 and then start, and it's on the other half. It makes it a little easier to keep up with, okay? So if you're not doing the more complicated, which is what I'm showing you, if you're just doing a solid color, you go ahead and knit the 2 stitches over like I'm doing now, over the however many pegs you used for your tail, and complete that 12 over on this half. And then when you go to start the other half, knit 2 and then start your feet. It'll work the same way going the other direction, so don't stress yourself out there. That's if you're doing a solid color. Most people probably want to do the colors where you switch up. Okay. Alrighty. This is where you will probably want to try and tie off your color. So, this is where it can be a bit of a challenge. Go in and you grab it and pull it through like that. You don't want to try and tie it off here. You want to get it around that white, because this white's going to close it off. So you'll have to pull it through like I showed you. Okay. Now you're attached. Okay. And then you're just going to knit your way over. Okay. Then you're going to come around here, come around the back. And once you do that, you come around where you just came to pick up that white. This will keep you from getting tangled. If you get tangled, just untwist it. It's not a big deal. But you're always doing the same under and over color, which is your blue. Okay. And so you're just knitting over there. And this counts as a row. So we have technically done 2 rows for body once we get over here. Okay. Now, you go up under the white and over. Alright, and you're going to continue this for however long of a section that you want, going back and forth with a half and half. I think I did a total of 6 rows. I am doing it a little thinner, and I think I want maybe a little bit more. That's where you extend this back half more. So I think I may do 10 rows rather than just 6. And so it's up to you how long of a section through here before the short rows. So this is the section we're working here. These wings are shown on separately, okay? But we're working this section here. It's up to you. You can do 6 rows or you can do 10 rows. Mostly what you're trying to do is get however long you want the body. I want it a little longer than that. So I'm going to do 10 rows of the half and half, and then at some point we're going to switch up to the orange for the front, and that's when we're going to start this short row section, which is through here, to create that nice curvature of the breast area of the bird. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your 10 rows, and then we will continue. Okay, so as you can see, I've done, I believe 10 rows. Okay, and that's what you should have. Now, we're fixing to be starting the short row section, and that's this section here. It's going to create this beautiful curve. Okay, so I'm going to switch up to orange here. The reason being is it's only half of the chest is actually white. So I'm going to move that out of the way. Done with that. I'll change my color. Okay. I always like to do my magic knot. Fisherman's knot, magic knot. There. Okay. Now, here's where the fun begins. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go up under and over. Alright. And I'm going to tell you, if you're doing this with one color, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier than doing this 2-color thing. Okay. So, I'm just going to tell you that now. It's just going to be easier. You're just going to be working them round rather than doing this flat. But most of your birds have a different colored chest from the back. But if you're wanting to do the dove, it's all one. So for the short row, you would just continue around to do this wrap and turn. So that's what's going to make this a little different. But you would just continue around if you were going to do the wrap and turn. So what you're going to do now is you're going to knit your way over. Now, there's a way of doing this on the wrap and turn. I'm going to do it like a wedge heel, but I'm not going down to a third. I'm only doing like a couple, I think. Yeah, I'm only doing a couple. So, what we're going to be doing is focusing. We're going to knit all the way over here. And then you're going to over here. Already that much of a twist. Only just attached it. Okay. Wants to be insane today. Alrighty. There. Now, just want to go ahead and twist it so that when I go to knit back, it's not a big deal. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to knit your way over. And if you prefer a German short row kind of concept, or me, I like to do the twin knit I think it's a little smoother. Okay, and because we're doing a short row section. Okay. Now, if you want to do the twin knit, that's when you go in and you lift up that previous stitch, pull it back over, and put it down. Okay. If you watch a lot of my stuff. Alright. Then we're going to go and knit our way over. And I'll show you the other method that you can do. Which you may like better. That one you have to go hunting the previous stitch. So you're going to wrap and turn. So you're working on the 12 stitches on the other half. And you're just going to do the wrap and turn thing like twice. If you want a bit more, then you can, you want it more round, you can do more. This makes it more subtle. Alright. I did it on 3 on the dove for more chest area, but you don't have to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the wrap and turn. It's an easier way. It's pretty complicated. But if you're doing one color, you're just going to work your way around, wrap and turn, work your way over to here, wrap and turn, work your way over to here, wrap and turn, working on the 12 pegs on the one side. Okay. Now, we're going to do one last wrap and turn. Okay. And you're going to knit your way over it. Now, you can do this a third time, but I'm just going to stick with 2. Alright. When you get over to here, you're going to knit the 2 together and knit the 2 together. Now, you're going to pick up this color. Now, if you're working one color, you're just going to knit all the way around and knit those 2 together, and then you're going to knit a row. Okay, and then start again. Okay, so we're knitting our way over in the blue. It is more complicated to keep up with 2, but most likely y'all are going to be doing the 2. Alright, now what I've done now is crossed. Okay, then you're going to knit your way over. Here, and then knit the 2 together. You'll pick up over here and knit your way over. Now there's a pattern we've started here, so we'll see what I'm up to. Alrighty. Then you're going to do one row where you're not tossing any wrap and turns over. So this is our one row right here. Okay. So if you're doing it all on one color, you'll have done the knit those 2 together and then work your way here, and then you'll just work another round of knit if you're doing one color. Okay, so it's just more complicated when you're doing 2 colors because you're working flat and trying to keep up with that. Okay, go ahead and pick up and work the other color around. And this is one row in between that. Okay, so keep this in mind. We're going to be repeating this 2 more times. You're creating a curve around the chest area. Alright. Okay. Alrighty. Now, here is where it's going to repeat what we've just done. So we're going to knit our way over, and we're going to do the wrap and turn again. Okay. So we're right at the beginning of what we just did. Okay. So you knit your way over, get your other color, knit your way over. Now if you're doing one color, you're going to go ahead and you're going to be working your way around, wrap and turn. Alright. Okay. So we work our way over. Now remember this when we start so that I don't have to show this again. Okay. Because you're going to do it 3 times. Alright. So do your crossover. Alright, now here's where your wrap and turns come in. So you're going to knit your way over. Wrap and turn. Knit. Wrap and turn. Knit. Wrap and turn. Knit. Now you can try doing this just twice. I think if you want to get the longer, thinner one, more like a cardinal, you can try doing this twice and doing this longer, and that will probably give you more of a cardinal look, because if you were to ask me what I would try, that's what I would try. Okay, so we've done our 2 wraps and turns on each side. You should start to look familiar, like, oh yeah, we've done this before. Well, you're going to do it one more time. I'm going to tell you, pause the video. So you knit your way over, and then you knit the 2 together. Go around here, pick up your blue, knit your way over. Okay. And cross, and I'd go ahead and knit my blue over. You know you've done a row. You know you've done a row when you connect on one side. Alright? That's how you keep up with a row, when your colors get to meeting back up. Okay. So pick this up and knit your way over. And I'm going to tell you to pause the video and complete one more time of the wrap and turn section. Okay. So, and then you do your knit your way back, and then knit here and start the short row again. So repeat this one more time, alright? And then we should be ready. So repeat one more time, and then we'll be almost done with the body, okay? So pause the video, complete another short row one more time, and then we'll come back. Okay, you can see that the curvature is there. Okay, and you'll notice I've not closed this off. There's a reason for it. Because the way I do the head, you'll need to stuff through the bottom, okay? Now, because of the way I'm doing this, we're ready to start on the head. I'm going to cut that orange off and put it to the side. I'm going to go ahead and tie off my orange, okay? Now, here's where we're doing short rows on the side. We're starting the head, and the head is only going to be working this half of the loom, okay? And we're working flat, no matter what color you're using. If you're doing one color or you're doing two, this is just how you're going to do it, okay? So go ahead and here's my other one. There it is. Just works better with this gauge loom. By the way, this is a 3/8 inch gauge loom, 24 peg loom, but use any 24 peg loom you want. I know I'm already halfway done with this. Okay, so you're going to knit your way over, and then you're going to slip the stitch. All right, let me make sure I've got this. Okay, you're going to do 5 rows like this, where you're slipping that first stitch. You knit the last stitch, you slip the first stitch. Okay, and so this is row 1, and then we're doing row 2. Slip. This is row 3. This is row 4. And then this is okay. At this point, we're going to be starting the short row process again. Okay. And what that means you're going to do is you're going to knit over, okay, and you're going to stop here, okay. So here's your starting point, and here's the next peg, And so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap and turn that. And unlike the body, we're going to wrap and turn 3 times. So, but we're not going to the very end, and I will explain this. So you knit your way over. Here you know your beginning and starting point. So leave that end one alone, wrap and turn. Okay. And then you're going to knit your way over and wrap and turn, and you're going to do this a total of 3 times. So you knit your way over to just before your last wrap and turn, and then you wrap and turn the next peg. So if you've done my socks, this is the same thing. And again, if you prefer the German short row, go for it. But with the method I use, it's not really making much difference on how I'm doing this. Okay, so you're going to knit your way over just before the last wrap and turn, and what you want is 3 wraps and turns, okay, on each side. And then you'll knit your way over till just before the last wrap and turn, and you'll wrap and turn. Again, this doesn't matter if you're doing a solid color or not. You're going to do this the exact same way. Okay. Alright. And we do 1 more wrap and turn, and then it gets 3 wrap and turns. And then you're going to knit your way over, and you'll see 3 wrap and turns. Okay. So you knit your way over. And this is where it doesn't really matter what you do. It doesn't show up because of the way I do this. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to knit the 2 together all the way over. And again, you can do it individually if you find that it's too tight or something like that. Okay, so you're going to knit the 2 together 3 times, and then you knit your last stitch. Now, I'm going to explain this. This is going to show up why I've done this the way that I've done this, okay? I have a method to my madness, alright? And then you're going to slip that first stitch, and you're going to knit your way over, and you're going to knit the 2 together. It's kind of like the chest area, but it is a little different, okay? And as you're creating your head. And okay. Now we're going to repeat the wraps and turns we just did. So you're going to knit your way over. So you're going to repeat the exact same thing of what we just did with the 3 wraps and turns. And I'm going to tell you to pause the video and complete that much once I show you what we're talking about. Okay, here we are. There's those last 2 pegs. I don't want to touch the end peg, and I'll tell you why later. But go ahead and wrap and turn the next peg, not the very end one. When you're doing the knit and you're slipping, you're creating a chain. Those chains are going to come back up on the loom. Alright, so now you know what I'm up to. So go ahead and pause the video and complete this row of the wraps and turns where you do 3 wraps and turns. See, there's my end, there's quick pegging, wrap and turn. So pause the video and complete this one more time, and then have a black ready so that we can do the beak on the next one. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete this one more time, and when we come back we'll be able to get started and do the last little bit and do the beak. Okay. Okay, so I've done that one more time, and you can see a little indentation starting there. Alright, and now we are wanting to add in the beak. Okay, and I got my black this time. So, doing much better with that. Okie dokie. What you want to do is you need to do where it's center 4. So you're going to knit in 3 and then add, well, you're going to knit in 2. You're going to slip that first one, and then you're going to knit in 2. Then you're going to take your black, add it, and you're not going to cut the blue. Again, this is where you may want to get your stitch markers. Get your stitch markers and put them on the next 4 pegs, on the next 4 stitches, so that you know what to bring back up when you do it. Okay, so you may want to pause the video and get that much done, but that'll make it easier. Alright, so when you're doing the head, this is the top of the beak. Okay, so let's say that you're wanting to do more like a parrot's beak or something along those lines. You'll do more rows on this side of the beak. So for instance, if you want a smaller beak, you'll just do 2 rows, or if you want a little bigger one, this is 4 rows here. So this is 4, and then you work down and then work back up and 4. Alright, so I've already done 1 row. This will be row 2. Okay, so if you want a bigger beak, you do 4. If you want a smaller one, you do 2. Okay, and then you do 3. 2. 3. And then knit 2 for 2 rows. Okay. If you want the bigger beak, then follow what we did for the feet. Okay, that's what your size will look at. Okay, so I'm now going to cut the black and tie it off. If you want to do something that's a bigger beak for, like, say, a cardinal, then what you'll want to do is do, say, 6 to 8 rows on the top and then do 4 on the bottom so that it's shorter on the bottom. Okay, and this is where you're going to bring your original loops back up. So this is where the stitch markers are really helpful if you have a hard time seeing what you're needing to bring up. And also, if you're doing one of those larger beaks, you don't want to bring them back up. You'll want to go in and stuff it a little. So, okay. Then you're going to knit 2 together 4 times. And then this is where you're going to be able to start your short row thing again. So you'll knit over and wrap and turn. I feel like I'm off. How did I get off by one? You'll need to move it over. You'll need to knit the full 3. So, sorry about that. You'll need to knit the full 3. So instead of doing knit 2, you need to knit 3, then do the beak, and then do that. I need to correct that. Alright, well, I'm going to correct that. And so, but you, at this point, you knit 2 and then wrap and turn and start what you had been doing. Okay. And I'll come back and get it to that point. So, okay. Sorry about that. As you can see, it's slip 1 and then knit 1, 2, 3. Then do your 4. Okay. And you can see that's where I did it right there. So I went and undid it and redid it. Okay. So then you knit 2, wrap and turn, and get your way over. And then you wrap and turn. And you continue the process just like you did previously on the first 2 wedge things. Okay, so I'm going to have you pause the video and complete another round. That once you got 3 wraps and turns on each side, knit all the way over, knit all the way over. Alright, so pause the video and get that much done. Okay, now there's 2 ways you can do this. You'll see that there's all these chains through here. See if I can get it to register. Anyway, there's all these chains through here. You see that? We need to bring those and gather them. Alright. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. You can bring half the chain up onto the pegs, or you can send a crochet hook through all of them and get the chain up there, or you can take a needle and just depending on what you got. If you don't got a crochet hook, you can do this method. I've been known to just bring them back up on the peg, but what you can do is you can send the needle through half of the chains all the way down, and then what you'll do is put the loop that you made right there. Okay. And what that's done is gathered it in. So I've gathered it in here, and you can't see it, but that's what happens. It gets gathered in right there. It creates that curve that you want to the head, and you can just toss that loop over. Alright, and you just work your way to the other side, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and you're going to send the needle through half of the chains going down. Alright, see if I can show you how to do that a little closer. It's not always easy. Okay, so pull you out a little bit, as you can see, and you want to thread it like a loop. Okay, this is how you want to do it, but you're trying to create a stitch you can put on the loom. Okay, now what you want to do, see if I can do this. Alright, you want to stick it through half of the chain. So there's your first chain, there's your second chain, there's your third chain, there's your fourth. Okay, so it looks like there's 4 chains you'll need to pick up. And you pull that through. Okay. A hook a loop. And then you just pull that out. And then you want to tighten that loop that you got here. Okay. Alright. And then pull. And you just gathered it. Alright. And toss the loop over. Okay. Now, what you want to do at this point is cut you a long tail. You're finishing up. You can do this with a needle or you can choose not to. Okay. But you're going to bind off, and this is probably a bind off you've not seen before. It's kind of a drawstring bind off, but it's a flat kind of drawstring bind off. So what you do is you send the needle through your first stitch. Okay. Then you send the needle through the second stitch over here. And if you've done a Kitchener, this is basically kind of what you're doing, but it's not. Then you go over here and you take and you send the needle through the next stitch on the orange side. Okay. Then you go and you send the needle through the next stitch. And as you send the needle through, what you can do is take the stitches off and start tightening it as you go. Okay. But you'll only be able to tighten it so much because you're working on a round loom. Okay. So then you're going to come right back over here to the other side and you're going to send the needle through. If you want to send it through purlwise, that's fine. It doesn't really much matter. It's all going to gather, but make sure you do it consistently. Alright, take it off. And then come back over here to this side and send it through. You're going to do this all the way over. Okay. Alright, so you're just going to go back and forth all the way over. And what this will create, so you know, you see this indentation here? This is what you're creating right here. So it's kind of like a flat drawstring bind off. It's a real weird one, but it does make another shape. Okay. So go ahead and pause the video and get all your stitches off like I showed you, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So this is kind of what it should look like. If you've done a Kitchener cast on, it kind of looks like this. You really don't want to just yank it, alright? So you want to find an end and kind of pull it, and then you want to find another end and kind of pull it. Some yarns will take to this nicely, others may not, just so you know. But then you can just pull it after you get the majority of it. And then you can pull it to the extent that you want it. Okay. And there. See? You created a shape here, and this is before even stuffing. And you'll notice I did not pull that because we're going to need to use it to stuff. If you're going to add eyes, now would be the place to do it. And you want to line it up right there. Okay. I don't know that I'm going to add my eyes first. I may just try to hot glue in some black rhinestones, which I have. But yeah, so that is how you do this. Now let's get to stuffing. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to send this up through here. And you'll notice I haven't cut that off yet. There's a reason for it. There's a method to the madness, I always say. Okay, so you just sit there and stuff it. And as I always say, there is an art to stuffing. You stuff and then you shape. And the reason being is your polyfill will compress. And so a lot of times you need to go in and start pressing it out, getting it compressed. Okay. Making sure it's doing what you want. Okay. All right. Now, if you think you've about got the amount of stuffing that you want, which looks like it does, okay, what I'm going to do next is pull. Okay. Now, I have a wing video, and the wing video I will put in the link below. And it's my standard wing video, and it's these wings right here. Okay. The only thing that I would suggest that you do differently is when I did the wings, I did just straight knit through this section here. Try doing a rib stitch, and you may find that you like how that looks better, and it looks the same on both sides, so that you don't have to sew it down. And when you do sew it, line it up with the tail, so when you sew on your wings, find the base of your neck and just line it up and sew it down that way. Okay. But let's finish up what we have here. So everything looks pretty good. So what I want to do is send it up through here and up where I have an eye at. And we're going to cinch the eyes. Okay. It's a method I like to do. And you're going to send it back through straight across as best you can, lining it up. Okay. Hold tight. And see, it cinches an eye area. Okay. You remember there's lots of shaping involved. Alright. And then we're going to send it back through. Pull. Okay. So now you have a shaped area. And then you'll be able to add your wings. Okay. You need to set those stitches a little better through there. Alright. Now remember how I explained the adjustments. Alright. If you want more chest area, do 3 wraps and turns rather than just the 2. And if you want the body smaller, only do 6 rows here rather than the 10 rows I've done here. Right. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to send it through. And now, save this. You may need it to do the wings, to sew the wings on. But I only sewed the one half of the wings and I lined them up with the tail. Alright, so let's finish up the bottom half so that we close it off. And if you followed my book at all, I do a star method to close off your cast-ons so that they look better. So, I go to the top, and basically what I like to do is kind of draw a star with the needle, and that will close it off. Okay, once you've done the star, pull it. Ta-da! Closed off. Alright, and then you can go in, shove it through the bottom, and needle through. And okay, now this is where shaping comes in. Okay. You can see how I'll move it and everything because your polyfill compresses. Alright. And then when you add the wings to it, it will. And you see how you can hold it between your fingers and it sits up. And when you add the wings, it will just add to it. What I usually do with this is I weave it in. You know, weave your ends in. Don't we all love that? Okay, so that basically finishes this section. You add your eyes and add your wings. So, add your eyes, add your wings, and you're done. Okay, and again, I will include the link for the wings down below, and on the section where you just do however many knit rows, do it in a rib stitch, and if you want it a little longer, just do more rows, okay? But that is how you loom knit a basic bird pattern, showing you all the alternatives. More roundy body, do a wrap and turn with 3 on here. If you want a shorter tail, just do less, and you can do less pegs to start for getting a shorter tail. You want a bigger beak, do what we did with the feet of the beak. If you want a beak that sits down more, do more rows up here, starting the beak, and less rows down here, finishing the beak. And this will allow you to have more of a curved and don't bring the original stitches back. So for like a cardinal, you would want to do that, and then you want to kind of stuff the beak, and that'll go a long ways too. So, as you can see, that is how you loom knit the bird pattern. Again, just go in, compress, get the polyfill set, and as you do, it really starts to work in the shape. Okay, because that is what this is all about. It's about shaping. Okay. And once you get the shape, it looks like a bird, particularly when you add your wings. Okay, so that is how you loom knit a basic bird. And as you can see, when you do the little feet, it will sit up on its own, all nice and perky. Okay, so that is how you loom knit a bird. Get your wing video down below. Okay, info box below. Get your wings, and remember when you do the wings, the first way I show, remember to flip this section here. Remember to flip it and start with the shorter side first on the second wing. Okay, so because I didn't, and you see what you got. You see a ridge here that you don't see over here. All right, that's why you need to switch it. All right, but because this is a draft, I didn't really want to worry about it. But when I go to do this one, I'm going to finish it properly. Okay, so I hope this was helpful and that you can take hold of this and create as many different birds as you'd like. Hopefully it'll give you an idea on how creative you can be with this pattern. This is a guideline, so have some fun, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.